Hey everybody, this is Gregory from Dapp University, and I'm back with another video in our series about creating your own cryptocurrency and ICO on Ethereum. And I wanted to do a quick follow-up video that talks about our ERC20 token that we just finished programming. So if you haven't seen that video already, be sure to check it out and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications below so that you can see the other videos in this series when they come out. So this video today is really a follow-up video to the ERC20 token that we built, and we did that in a test-driven fashion where we wrote a bunch of tests to build our smart contract. And sometimes, when you're writing the tests, it can be a little abstract if you're not used to test-driven development. So I wanted to kind of open the Truffle console and interact with our token a little bit before we go on to building our other smart contract and building our client-side ICO website. So in order to interact with the token in the console, let's just pull up Ganache, make sure that our blockchain is running. It looks like it's running. So I'll minimize that. And let's run our migrations. So we'll do Truffle, migrate, reset. All right, those are migrated. So we'll enter the console. So what I want to do is sort of really just poke around at our contract here. Let's get a deployed instance of it. We can do that like this. This is a Dapp token. Again, this is the variable that we declared in our migration. I'll show you that. Here, Dapp token, and we want to get a deployed instance, and then we want to say then function instance, and we'll call this token instance. All right, we can see token instance here. All right, it's quite large. And this is, the abstraction of our instance. So let's kind of play around this for a second. So let's try to inspect some initial values. Let's try to see what the token responds to. We can check its name. All right, you can see it's Dapp token. We can check the symbol. All right, it's Dapp. You can check the standard. All right. And let's check the total supply. Now, before we check the total supply, let's remember how this total supply got set. Whenever we deployed our contract, we ran this constructor. And this constructor basically took an initial supply as an argument. And we passed that value in here. When we deployed the contract, we said that it is 1,000,000 tokens. And we set that total supply state variable as the same thing, same amount as the initial supply, right? And that total supply is tracked here with the state variable of total supply. So let's actually use a callback for this. Then say S, say supply equal to S. All right, supply, and this is a big number, so we can call to number. All right, we can see that's 1,000,000. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we can also see that the balance was sent to the the administrator of this contract, the one that deployed it. And remember I said that with Truffle, if you're using something like Ganache, it's going to default to the first account in the list. And I'll show you how to see those accounts in the console. We use the Web3 library for that. Again, Web3 is just a library that allows us to interact with the blockchain. It can be injected into your front-end applications, which we'll do later in the tutorial. And it basically, just gives you a lot of tools to interact with, smart contracts and the blockchain in a JavaScript runtime environment. So we can use Web3 like this, Web3. We can get the ETH object, and we can say accounts. And I think I showed this to you earlier in the video, or in the series. But yeah, here are the accounts that are listed. We can access all these accounts on zero-based index. So this would be the first account in the list. This is the same account that we saw here in Ganache, right? F57. This is F57. All right, so what we want to see in the console is that the initial supply was actually set to the balance of the person who deployed the contract, right? And I say person, it doesn't necessarily have to be an external account. This could be another smart contract, but for the sake of this tutorial, we'll just assume that it's an external account. So we'll take balance of, actually, let's just do accounts 0. We'll call this admin. Let's see that the token instance balance of admin. All right. We can do the same thing then, function balance. All right, balance to number. This is the admin balance. So this was actually set to 1 million tokens. And like I said, we tested all this, but I wanted to show you what it looks like in the console, just so that you can debug these things yourself or kind of play around with them. And I want you to get more comfortable with the Truffle console because it's a really nice tool. So we can also see that we can call other functions in here. We can actually perform a transfer in the console. Let's do this. Token instance transfer counts 1. We'll just say 1 token. And we'll do from admin. And remember, admin is a variable we assigned to this first account. Oh, let's do this to make this even more clear. Receiver. We'll say receiver equals web3.eth accounts 1. All right. All right, we can see that we got a transaction, which means that the transfer was successful because we got a receipt here. That's how we know it was successful. We can see some information about this. The transfer event was called. This is the receipt that we look for in our tests. Every time we go to something that looks like this, we're looking at this receipt and digging into the logs. Here's the logs that we were talking about. Right, it's just an array of objects here in JavaScript, and we can see that it has a event. It's the transfer event. It's got the args that we could dig into that we did here, from to value, etc., etc. We can see a lot of other information about this that I won't really get into detail with here, but you can kind of play around with this yourself. Now we can see that the token instance balance of, we'll say the admin. I'm not going to fool with the callback in this case. I'm just going to see this big number, right? It went down by 1 like we expect. And we can see the balance of the receiver went up by 1. All right, so that transfer is kind of how we can do that in the console. let's try an approval as well. So we can do token instance, approve. Let's approve. Let's approve accounts 1. We'll approve 100 tokens. Oops. Let's do Web3 ETH accounts 1. All right. So an approval event actually was triggered. Transaction receipt is listed here. And our approve function worked. So let's check the allowance, because that's kind of what we tested for in the test suite, right? So like whenever we called, whenever we called approval, we tested that the allowance went up, right? So let's check the allowance. Token instance, allowance, counts 0. Remember, this is the, well, sorry, I should be explicit here. I didn't add the sender, which is bad practice, but for console is not so important. Really, this should have specified the from account, but by default, the default account in this environment is the first account in the list. So accounts 1. All right, so let's check our mapping. Remember, this is the allowance here. Let's see. Yeah, the allowance. And this basically says that, this account is allowed to spend this many tokens for this account. So we want to say that account 1 is allowed to spend, some return amount, which we transferred, 100, by this account. Oops, accounts. I did that again. Sorry, guys. Web3.eth accounts 0. Okay, what else is going on? Accounts not defined. All right. So we got a value here. We can see that it's actually 100, like we expect. And we can also perform a delegated transfer, just like we did in our test. So we can do that by looking at this function, transfer from. We can set up a similar scenario like we did in our test. We can say the from account is equal to web3.eth accounts, say 2. And we can say the to account is equal to web3.eth accounts 3. And the spending account, web3 eth accounts 4. All right, so we have all our accounts here set up in this scenario. So let's actually do this. We set up an allowance there. So let's kind of recreate this scenario. Let's say token instance transfer. Let's give this account some tokens first. From account, give it 10 tokens, 100, and we'll say, we'll be explicit here. From accounts 0. This is the account that got all the tokens when we deployed the contract. Oops, I keep doing that. Web3 ETH accounts 0. Okay. So this is transferred. This account has some tokens now. We can check that. Token instance, balance of, from account. All right, it's got 100 tokens now. So we can approve this. We can say token instance. Approve the spending account. This is the account that's going to be allowed to perform the delegated transfer. Say we can allow it to spend 10 tokens, and we'll send this. This is the account that it's going to be spending on behalf of. We want to approve, this account. We want to approve this account to spend this many tokens on this account's behalf. All right. So that worked. And the last thing is we want to actually try to transfer the tokens. So let's do it this way. Token instance from account to account, and we'll say 10 from spending account. And let's actually, we'll do this. So this is token instance. We're going to call transfer from this account to this account, this many tokens, and this is the account that's actually performing the delegated transfer. All right, that worked. Let's see that the transfer is actually successful. We'll do token instance, balance of, from account. All right, it's 90. It went down. We'll do balance of to account. All right, it's 10, so that account actually got some tokens. And let's make sure that the allowance went down as well. I'll say allowance. Let's say the allowance from account and spending account. Boom. The allowance has been completely drained, just like we expect. All right, guys, so I hope that's helpful to kind of show you how you can interact with this token contract in the console. This is something you can do with the Truffle console, or if you're more advanced and using something like Geth, this is how you can interact with your token. I hope that's helpful. Like I said, you can check out the code at this point in the tutorial with the GitHub link down in the description below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications with the bell below so that you can see the other videos in this series when they come out. And until then, thanks for watching Dapp University.